Well, we continue our tour through the interviews that I did at the Trump South Carolina event, and Ben was there with me. As usual, absolutely interesting experience to say the least. And today I have for you an individual who was walking around and she was excited about the idea of convincing people to be a Republican. And so then during our conversation, as you'll see, I kind of have at the beginning just a couple clips spliced so you can get the context, and then we dive into a discussion, sort of. And I said, well, interesting, you're trying to convince people with different views to be pro-MAGA or pro-Trump or Republican. I have different views than you. Try to convince me. And instead of explaining what happened, take a look. She didn't convince me, we'll say.
I'm going to 10 different states. I'm going to change 10,000 people's minds that was Democrats to Republic in 10 months.
So before you continue, this is the perfect chance. Yes. I'm a Democrat. Let me be your first person.
You can be my first person. With the Democrats, if we went through all of that, and we already low with money, and we depressed, and we going through all the...
So she's talking now about sending money to Ukraine.
And we going through all this because of the COVID-19, and we done lost so many soldiers, and we done did all of this. Why would you still then send billions of dollars when we got homeless people right here need money? We got people getting evicted every day. We got people losing jobs. We still got this going on here in America. We all Americans. Let's get work on us first.
Don't you agree?
And that's what the Republicans are about.
The Democrats...
I really think that all the Republicans about doing it now. Yes.
Don't you agree that on the issues you listed off, homelessness, poverty,
I'm asking
Democrats
y'all
are
feel
going
like
to...
we shouldn't all that money over there? Do y'all agree?
America first, baby. You're right.
That's right, America
Take care of our
first.
people.
Okay, take care of us.
There's more to get to, but before we watch more of this is a phenomenon, very, very common in these interviews, where I'm talking and then someone else is talking, and when they're talking, I'm listening. When I'm talking, they don't give one single you-know-what about what I'm saying. And so sometimes that manifests itself in them not really answering the question I asked, or not really responding to some statement I made, or in the case of her, was to literally just leave the conversation and shout to the crowd, hey, let's use our listening ears, everybody.
We need a new dinosaur.
I actually love the idea of defending a country that's being invaded. I think that's a really good precedent set
It's
across the
okay
world.
if we was okay. But we just said we got homeless people right here.
And I can tell you, the Democratic Party is much more willing to spend money on programs such as homelessness, such as poverty. The Republican Party, their major economic accomplishment is usually just tax cuts for the wealthy.
So you think that the taxes that people get back after working and making money on a job that is American don't supposed to pay taxes?
No, yeah, they should pay taxes, sure.
Well, then that shouldn't have anything to do with paying taxes on what you work for. You get work, you get your tax money, you pay back. It helps the schools. Oh, it's the flag.
Wait. It sounds like you're a Democrat. You're for taxation to invest in public education, to invest in social programs. I'm with you.
If they tax higher taxes, and it's going to, on everybody, not just the wealthy.
You're for higher taxes on everybody?
On everybody.
Then you're a Democrat.
No.
And again, a little bit more to watch, but to get in here, quickly on the Ukraine thing, this thought process of if we send money to Ukraine, then that means we're not going to be able to address things like homelessness and poverty, when it's about a mindset, it's about a paradigm in the way that you approach politics. And so whenever I hear Republicans say, we shouldn't send money to Ukraine because we have problems in the United States. Yes, but the politicians you support aren't willing to spend that money on those things, on those problems we have in the United States of America. We are wealthy enough to both help people whenever they're being invaded by an authoritarian government and not allow them to be slaughtered, and their country be taken from them. We can invest in helping those individuals and address issues at home. The reason why we're not doing that, why there are so many outstanding problems that are so massive, is because too many politicians don't have the right mindset on addressing those issues at home, and instead allow for a situation where so much of the money is controlled by those at the very top. And so many of these programs are not attempting to address the real problems we have in the United States. That's because of the wrong paradigm that is wrong in many cases across the board, but is the worst within the Republican Party. And so to say, let's not support Ukraine because we have problems here, when even if we weren't supporting Ukraine because of the obstruction of politicians that this individual supports, we wouldn't be solving those problems at home anyways. Continuing.
On everybody?
On everybody.
Then you're a Democrat.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you that that's not what's going on right now.
But it's Republicans who usually,
Wait a minute,
Trump, for example.
But we're talking about why the Democrats. I feel like if you pay attention to everything that the Democrats are doing now, it all came from Republicans.
How so? Give me an example.
I just gave you 2 examples.
Can you?
One is making America great again.
That's not a policy. That's just a slogan.
It is. It's a slogan, but when you go inside and do all the paperwork,
because
that's the same thing. We're going to do it.
Very interesting. Democrats, all the good things under them are because of things that Republicans have done. Because make America great again. I don't know if I buy that one. I don't know if I'm on board with that one, unfortunately. But it quickly went off the rails, you could see there, where wasn't really listening for a lot of it and then jumped in. And once we kind of got to engaging, seemed to misunderstand kind of who she's supporting. Because I think the two of us, if we sat down, set aside her preconceived notions about either party and said, okay, you're with the idea of taxing people. We should have a progressive tax system where those the wealthy are taxed more, or those at the top who are wealthy are taxed more, but everyone will be taxed and thus will invest in programs such as public education, poverty, homelessness, as she mentioned. And are you on board with that? It sounded like she was saying she is, and she agrees with the mindset of because you are in a country and the taxpayer dollars that are pooled together, that invest in the education that you got growing up, that paid for the policing that protected you while you were driving, doing the job, going to get your education, that paid for the firefighters that responded whenever you had a fire, that paved the roads that you used to get to the job to make your money. Then once you're making your own money, it makes sense for you to give back, to let that cycle continue, and to invest in all of our communities to make sure we all have a much more vibrant situation on the ground. Sounds like she's on board with that. So maybe she went out to convince people to be Republicans. Maybe we could convince her to be on the left. Unfortunately, as I pick up on so often in these interviews, there is a severe misunderstanding about the very politicians they support, the very actions that those politicians are pushing for. But somehow, when confronted with those facts, don't change their view. And it's more about the identity of the person, Trump as a cult leader, over the policy positions that they momentarily used to justify their support of that person. Definitely, if you like my content, if you like the show, if you like Ben, the producer, so much, and you want to show your love for Ben, the way you can do that is by subscribing to the channel. Drop a comment, like the video, all those good things, but subscribing is the most special to our hearts.